Continuing our reading from the Catholic Mirror of September 9, 1893. Examining the New Testament from cover to cover, critically we find the Sabbath referred to 61 times. We find too that the Savior invariably selected the Sabbath, Saturday, to teach in the synagogues and work miracles. The four Gospels refer to the Sabbath, Saturday, 51 times. In one instance, the Redeemer refers to himself as the Lord of the Sabbath as mentioned by Matthew and Luke. But during the whole record of his life, while invariably keeping and utilizing the day, Saturday, he never once hinted at a desire to change it. His apostles and personal friends afford to us a striking instance of their scrupulous observance of it after his death. And whilst his body was yet in the tomb, Luke chapter 23 verse 56 informs us, and they rested and prepared spices and ointments and rested on the Sabbath day according to the commandment. But on the first day of the week, very early in the morning, they came bringing the spices they had prepared. The spices and ointments had been prepared Good Friday evening because the Sabbath drew near, according to verse 54. This action on the part of the personal friends of the Savior proves beyond contradiction that after his death they kept holy the Saturday and regarded the Sunday as any other day of the week. Can anything therefore be more conclusive than that the apostles and holy women never knew any Sabbath but Saturday up to the day of Christ's death? We now approach the investigation of this interesting question for the next 30 years, as narrated by the evangelist St. Luke in the Acts of the Apostles. Surely some vestige of the cancelling act can be discovered in the practice of the apostles during that protracted period. But alas, we are once more doomed to disappointment. 9 times do we find the Sabbath referred to in the Acts, but it is the Saturday, the old Sabbath. Should our readers desire the proof, we refer them to chapter and verse in each instance. Acts chapter 13, verse 14, Acts chapter 13, verse 27, verse 42, and verse 44. Once more, Acts chapter 15, verse 21. Again, Acts chapter 16, verse 13, Acts chapter 17, verse 2, and Acts chapter 18, verse 4. And he, Paul, reasoned in the synagogue every Sabbath and persuaded the Jews and the Greeks. Thus the Sabbath, Saturday, from Genesis to Revelation. Thus it is impossible to find in the New Testament the slightest interference by the Savior or his apostles with the original Sabbath, but on the contrary, an entire acquiescence in the original arrangement, nay, a plenary endorsement by him whilst living, and an unvaried active participation in the keeping of that day and no other by the apostles for 30 years after his death, as the Acts of the Apostles has abundantly testified to us. Hence the conclusion is inevitable, that of those who follow the Bible as their guide, the Israelites and the Seventh-day Adventists have the conclusive weight of evidence on their side, whilst the biblical Protestant has not a word in self-defense for this substitution of Sunday for Saturday. More in the next video you're going to see from the Catholic Mirror, September 16, 1893.